From the studios of Foxboro Cable Access, located in the center of Foxborough, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxborough.
Hello and welcome to Around Foxborough, the show where we talk about the people, places, and things that make Foxborough the gem of Norfolk County. My name is Mark Rivard, and I'm pleased to have as my guest today, Matt Kerr. Welcome, Matt.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. So tell us a little bit about the working experience.
So the working experience is a podcast primarily. We started it about, I would say about 3.5 years ago. We have about 450 episodes.
Wow.
So far. And it was we see it as the anchor for a bigger brand of video and things like that. To be honest, none of that has really taken off. We have a website where we do sell, we have for offer some merchandise. No one's really bought it. Well, I bought 4 of the t-shirts myself. Myself and my co-host, John Brancaccio, we went to college together. And so yeah, we've dabbled in like some merchandise, a Patreon account. We haven't really, that hasn't really done too much, but we've been pretty consistent with the podcast, and we're in about the top 5% now. We don't make any money off of it. You have to be in like the top probably 0.5% to see any money from it. But I enjoy doing it because it really has afforded me the opportunity to talk to some very interesting guests. And so we kind of wanted something to do that was low cost, low overhead, and doing a podcast meets that criteria. There's a lot of podcasts out there. I mean, I don't know, there's thousands of podcasts. But we kind of see it as a war of attrition. A lot of podcasts that go for maybe 10 episodes, 20 episodes, and then they don't do it anymore. So, we figure if we kind of hang in there and I don't know. I mean, I just enjoy doing it. I mean, it'd be nice to make some money off of it at some point, but I really get a lot out of it.
It's a labor of love.
Yeah,
not of income.
Yeah, I mean, we do see it as a business. We try to grow it as a business, but I think really, I mean, if you're going to do something like that, you do have to really enjoy doing it. Actually doing it. Otherwise, we just wouldn't do it anymore. So.
Well, no, I can identify because I make the same amount of money doing this as you do doing that.
Right.
Yeah. It's a labor of love.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, you have to find something that interests you. And, again, I've got to talk to some people I would never have had any interaction with. Donna Edwards, she was the first African-American woman, or she may have been the first African-American to represent the 4th District of Maryland. And I got to interview Philip Mudd, who he was the deputy chief of the CIA's Counterterrorism Center. I always have to remember his title because it's rather long. And, I see them on CNN and MSNBC and stuff. And it was just kind of a thrill to get to interview him myself and have him on the podcast. And, again, without the podcast as a vehicle, I would not have had any reason to ever reach out to them or anything like that. So that's been great.
No, that is cool to, talk to people that you never, like you said, you never would talk to them without having some vehicle for it. And then you get to learn some really neat stuff that maybe they didn't mention on MSNBC or CNN or something. You could ask them anything you want pretty much. You don't have a producer, right?
No, I mean,
it's all you
send emails out to people randomly, and a lot don't get back to me, probably most, but then occasionally you get like, I was kind of shocked that Donna Edwards would be like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And I was like, really? Are you serious? And then when I was getting her on, I was like, what am I going to talk to her about? But she was great. She was really gracious. And there's a show called Last Chance U on Netflix. It's about like football and basketball. It's about junior college level, like football, basketball, which I knew nothing about, but I had 3 people from that show on. They all agreed to talk, and again, without the podcast, I wouldn't randomly reach out to people to say, hey, you want to have a chat on Zoom? Like, they would probably say no, I would imagine. But yeah, it's great. It's a really good vehicle for doing things like that.
Yeah. So who would you think, who was your favorite person that you interviewed? Like the most interesting? Was it one of those two, or is there somebody else that you can think of off the top of your head?
Well, we've had one that was really fascinating was the Oracle of Los Angeles. She is Amanda Yates Garcia. She's a professional witch. And
Wow.
I have to say, when I contacted her and I read about her in the New York Times, and she agreed to do it, and I thought, geez, this is going to be kind of odd. I don't really, that's not my thing. She had to be one of the most down-to-earth people. It was just really fascinating to talk to her about how she makes a living being a witch, because that's kind of what the working experience is about. Like, we want to know like how people do their jobs. So like Philip Mudd, I didn't want to talk about torture and rendition in the camps and all that. I want to know, like, what is it like to work at the CIA? Like, what do you do? You show up at work at 9 o'clock in the morning. Like, what do you do? Like with Amanda Yates Garcia, it's like, what do you actually do? Like, how do you make a living doing that? But my favorite just happened 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I'm a huge fan of this band, the Brian Jonestown Massacre. They've been around for years. And there was a documentary that came out about them in 2004 called Dig. And it's about them and another band, the Dandy Warhols. So this guy, Anton Newcomb, is the like epicenter of the Brian Jonestown Massacre. He's a musical genius. He plays like 80 instruments. He lives in Berlin. So I just threw an email out there, and his manager got back to me. We went back and forth for a while, and then he agreed to do the podcast. So it was so thrilling to actually get, because I've seen him live when I lived in New York, and it was just such a thrill to be able to talk to him. But what happened was, I teach by profession. So we had to do it at 9 o'clock in the morning on like a Wednesday, and he's in Berlin. So, it took a couple of months to set this up. That's the day the nor'easter blew through, and I lost power at 7:30 in the morning.
Mhm.
And I'm like, when? Because he's a little, I don't want to say flighty, he's a little hard to get a hold of. And then the power did eventually come back on, but I was so in despair, because I'm like, I really want to talk to this guy. Like, and I did get the
Oh,
opportunity
good.
to, and he toured me through his studio, and he was just a fascinating guy to talk to. He was just, if you didn't know this, California and the West Coast are in the key of A. Okay. This is what I
Really?
got from Anton. It's
Okay.
in the soil and so forth. East Coast key of B and Europe. India, I believe, was more in the D sharp F frame. So these are the types of things we were talking about. I had to keep up with it. But it was really thrilling. It was really a great conversation.
I just love the name of the band, Brian Jones
Brian
Massacre.
Jones.
Brian Jonestown Massacre. So Brian Jones of the Stones and Jonestown Massacre
Yeah.
together.
Yep.
Like the Dandy Warhols. I just love the names of the bands. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm a big rock. I'm gonna have to look into some of
recommend
that music because I'm a rock guy. So
they're fantastic. Fantastic band. Yeah.
very,
So,
very cool.
yeah.
So I also hear you're a filmmaker and a published author as well.
I
Do
have
that
had
too?
one story published in a literary journal, which I'm looking at my shelf right now. I forget what it's called. So yes, I can call myself a published author. I have made two short films, and then I was involved with Jury Love, who also works with you guys. We collaborated on a short film that was shot about 2 months ago in Foxborough, actually. They were able to shoot it there to some extent. So yeah, I haven't really had a lot of success with it, but a friend of mine calls it shots on goal. If you take enough shots, you'll sneak one in
Yeah.
eventually. So
But also can give you the title of Renaissance man because you've done a little bit of everything, you know?
I guess it all kind of goes together, like writing and the podcast and filmmaking. And, I just sort of, yeah, it all kind of fit. I mean, I teach English, so it all sort of fits together nicely. So one thing kind of speaks to the other. So, and there's a lot of talent up here. There's a huge amount of talent in Massachusetts, which I didn't know until I moved back up here in about 2013. So there's a huge pool of actors and, cinematographers and people like yourself doing, your show. And it's not kind of, I used to live in New York City and it can feel kind of unwieldy there to an extent. And here like so many people know each other, they just,
It's a small area.
Yeah, and it's great because they'll be like, I need a sound guy. Oh, I know somebody, he worked on blah blah blah. Okay, great. Can you, what's his rate? Give me his name. And yeah, it's just really nice. It's a really nice community up here.
You were right about the actors, because I think what happened, and this is just my thoughts on this, is that when Massachusetts opened up to productions for Hollywood productions and the tax breaks and everything,
Mhm.
a lot of people drifted in this area because there was more opportunity. I mean, if you've seen
Yeah.
how many Hollywood movies have been filmed in Massachusetts just in the past few years, it's incredible. You see a celebrity walking down, downtown Boston every day. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see them, but I see pictures on the internet of, hey,
Yeah.
so and so stopped in at this restaurant. And
Yeah. There was a
so
couple I live in Braintree. There was they filmed like a Kevin James movie, part of it at the mall here at Quincy High School.
Yeah.
I think Goodwill Hunting kind of was that entree, because before that, Boston was, you could not shoot here. I mean,
Yeah.
there were like horror stories about the Teamsters and all of that. And they finally cleaned that up. And no, I think you're right. I think people can't, it's cheaper to live, you can, it's just easier. People are a lot more willing to let you film places and it doesn't cost as much. So yeah, but it's good.
Yeah.
I love how everybody kind of knows each other, or at least knows somebody who knows the other person.
I get that all the time. Hey, somebody who plays guitar, my band needs a guitar player. Okay, hang on. Let me network over here. I'll find some friends because they know some friends who know some people.
Yeah.
That's what it is around here. Everything's so, like you said, it's so tight and everybody knows each other. So it's always easy to find somebody for something.
And there's a lot of good things happening here too. I think people, it used to be like you had to make a film in New York or LA. Now it's I think with technology, it's just so much more open. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, they've been making films in Rhode Island, a lot of films in Rhode Island too.
Yeah.
It's where they never did that. Unless they went to Newport or something special like that, they never really filmed. Now they're filming all over. They filmed one in my old hometown of Woonsocket, Hachi,
Wow.
Richard Gere movie.
Yeah.
So it happens. It's a great time to live in this area, I think, because of that.
I did do a short film in New York, and it is such a pain in the neck. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Just trying to park places. I mean, or get locations. It's so difficult. It's so expensive that I think, a lot of people said to hell with it, especially if you're trying to make an independent movie and you don't have much money.
Yeah. Money talks.
Yes. Yeah. If you have millions of dollars, you can shoot anywhere you want. Pretty much.
Wow. So, let everybody know, how they can find out more information about the working experience, because you said there's videos, merchandise, and more. And so tell everybody where they can get more information and see some of these podcasts or hear some of these podcasts.
The podcasts are on Spotify. You can also go on iTunes, and they're there. I'm not exactly the tech person, but yeah, iTunes and Spotify are probably the main places. We do have a website. You can find www.theworkingexperience.com. You can find podcasts there as well. And you can see some merchandise. And I don't know if we still have a Patreon account. We might. But and also I'd like to, the name of the film that I worked with Jury Love on is The Mediator. So that is in post-production right now. We'll be getting a trailer out, I get probably in the next month or so, I would think. And yeah, so that's, I was, Kathy Ann Hart was a writer director, and she acted in it. No, I'm sorry, she didn't direct. She wrote it and she acted in it. And our friend Magisha directed it, and Jury was the producer. And I was just so pleased to be able to work with those folks. And I'm really excited to see the movie come out. It's a great script and great crew, and it'll be great. What
did you do on the movie? Were you acting in it?
I was the executive producer, so
Executive
I kind of
producer.
helped get the budget together, that kind of thing.
The millions of dollars, yeah.
Yeah, I raked in the millions of dollars, but
Millions of
yeah,
pennies, whatever.
Well, she wrote it as a pilot. It was about 40 something pages, and she just sent it to me to see what I thought. And I was like, why don't you do this as a short? I mean, it seemed like great. So she chopped it down to 15 pages, and yeah, off they went. They all got it done very quick. Well, her and Jury and Magisha are probably three of the most capable people I know. So anything they're going to be involved with is going to go well. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, me too. I'm very anxious.
Awesome.
I think
Well, Matt,
Jury's gonna try to rent a little theater in Foxborough. I think she knows of a place there. So I'm sure she'll promote that.
well, hopefully I'll be on the guest list. Otherwise, she'll hear from me.
Absolutely.
Well, Matt, thanks for being with us today. And once again, if anybody wants any information, www.theworkingexperience.com.
Yes.
Did I get it right?
Yep.
Excellent.
And iTunes and Spotify. You can find us there.
Awesome. Thanks again, Matt, for joining us.
Thank you. It was great. It was really good. Thank you.
And that'll do it for Around Foxborough. Have yourself a great day.